we are talking all about how to stop binge eating in its tracks. I know this is a common problem, especially among females, particularly female athletes, because you are burning so many calories and it's common to be hungry a lot of the time. And in today's day and age where we are living in this diet culture, people feel like, well, I can't eat. I shouldn't be hungry again, so therefore I am not going to eat. And then they wind up overeating and binge eating. So let's first talk about what binge eating is. So binge eating is categorized by recurrent episodes of eating large quantities of food in a short period of time. And it's often accompanied by a sense of loss of control and a sense of loss of control over eating. So this is not quite the same as overeating occasionally. You know, if you go to Thanksgiving dinner or a party or you go out to dinner and you just eat a little bit more than you should, this is where you are just, you feel like you've just lost control and you're just constantly eating a large amount of food, and it can happen on a regular occasion. So binge eating, in order to be classified as true binge eating, that's where it is happening at least once a week consecutively for 3 months. Now, you may not have hit that exactly, but if you're somewhere in that, I would still say it is a problem. So let's talk about how you can actually work your way out of binge eating and how to stop it in its tracks. So first of all is to eat enough throughout the day. And this probably seems like a no-brainer, but I can guarantee you that if you are eating enough calories throughout the day and you are eating enough filling protein, fat, and fiber, not just those foods, but you're eating enough of those foods, that you are going to be significantly less likely to binge eat because you just aren't hungry. What winds up happening with binge eating is people wind up restricting their intake, and so then they wind up overeating and binging later on. So this actually happened to me when I was struggling with my eating disorder when I was in college. What would happen to me was I would go to bed late at night. I was starving. I would think about what I was going to eat the next day. And the next day, I basically just couldn't control myself because I was so hungry. So I would wind up binging on food. And then I would feel so guilty and so shameful about it and just so like gross. Like I just needed to get that food out of my body. And a few times I actually attempted to purge, but I was a little too scared to go down that road. So I never actually did it. But I just felt so gross, so bad about myself and so yuck that I just, you know, it was embarrassing and it was shameful, and I really didn't want anybody to know about it. And I know that this is more common than we may think, and I am here to say let's make it not shameful so that we can actually address it and get through it. So, like I said, eat enough throughout the day and eat enough protein, fats, and fiber, but not just those foods. So how do you actually do this? For one, it's to have a plan and balance your plate when you're doing this. If you do not know how to make a plan for yourself, how to figure out how much you should be eating, how to balance your plate, that is where I come in, and I want you to set up a time for us to talk. You can set up a one-on-one coaching session with me and we can figure all this out for you. But basically you need to have a plan as far as how much you need to eat over the course of the day, what that's going to look like, you know, how to break it out so that you are having enough protein, you're having enough carbohydrates, you're having enough fats, you're having enough fiber, and it's actually broken out throughout your day so that it's surrounding your workout and it's broken out into meals and snacks. Then from there, you need to meal plan. So that means you're actually planning out some meals for the week that you are going to make for yourself, or you know where you're going to get them from, and then you're going to prep those foods. So it doesn't have to be this whole, you know, full day Sunday meal prepping, you know, put everything in little containers, but it is going to look like at least having the components readily available so that you can just easily pull from them. And if you want to go as far as putting them into little containers, whatever works for you, that's what you should do. And then of course having snacks readily available that you can easily just grab and go. So maybe those might be some protein bars, maybe that's some trail mix, it could be granola with yogurt and fruit, whatever you like that is going to be a combination of protein, carbs, and fiber. Again, we're looking for filling foods. That's what you should plan on having. Number 2 is to eat when you're hungry. Again, this probably sounds like, well, this is very obvious, but the thing is, a lot of people skip eating when they're hungry because they just feel like I shouldn't be hungry. There's no way I should be eating again. I just ate 2 hours ago. But if you are an athlete, that's just how quickly your metabolism is going to be working. You are going to get hungry every couple of hours, and you should be eating, and your hunger is actually your body telling you that it needs food and fuel. That's not something that you should ignore. That's kind of like if you have a car and your gas light is on and then you're thinking, I filled it up 2 days ago. I shouldn't need to put any more gas in it. That's ridiculous. Your car is telling you it needs more gas. You need to put gas in it. And it's the same thing with your body. You're hungry. That's your body telling you that you need to put more food into your system. So eat when you're hungry. Do not ignore your hunger signals. Number 3 is to pay attention to your food when you do eat it. So what I mean by this is I want you to go through this exercise where you are eating without distraction. So don't look at your phone, don't look at the TV, don't, do work or whatever. I actually want you to take whatever food that you want, sit in a room by yourself, and actually sit at the table and do this. You're going to first look at the food and examine it. What does the food look like? What color is it? What texture is it? What shape is it? Is it large? Is it small? Then you're going to put it up to your nose. And what does it smell like? Does it smell sweet? Does it smell savory, salty? Does it smell good? Does it smell bad? What is the smell and what is the reaction that you get from your body when you do smell it? Then you're going to put it on your tongue. You're not going to chew it or anything like that, but you're just going to put it on your tongue and then notice what happens when it's on your tongue. Does your salivary glands release some saliva? Do you get like that pucker feeling in the back of your jaw? Does it taste good? What does it taste like? And then you're going to start to chew it. And when you chew it, what is the feeling that you get in between your teeth? Is it soft? Is it crunchy? Is it chewy? Is it rubbery? What's the reaction that you get? And then you're going to swallow it. And what does that feel like when you swallow it? When it goes down your throat, what is the feeling that you get? So this is a very exaggerated way of paying attention to your food, but if you can practice this over and over again, eventually it'll just become like second nature and you could do it really quickly. And it forces you to pay attention to your food. And what happens when you pay attention to your food is you actually get more satisfaction out of your food. Have you ever eaten in front of the TV or your phone and then you ate the entire whatever it was that you were eating and then you feel like, I don't even know what that tasted like. I don't even remember eating any of that. That has happened to me many, many times, especially when I'm rushing. But if I actually sit down and slowly eat my food and I pay attention to it, I get so much more satisfaction out of the food, and I actually can notice when I'm full so then I can stop eating. So I challenge you to practice this and practice it today with whatever food that you want and practice it on a regular basis. Next up is to balance your plate. And I mentioned this already, but every time that you eat, you need to have at least a protein, you need to have a fat, and you need to have a carbohydrate. You also need to make sure that you are having fluid in there as well. So proteins are things like chicken, meat, any type of red meat, pork, fish, eggs, cheese, beans, nuts, seeds. Some of those also count as fats, so nuts and seeds are going to count as fats. Any high fat meats are going to also count as a fat as well. Things like peanut butter or any other nut butters, avocado, oils, salad dressings, sour cream, those are all going to be your fats. And then your carbohydrates are going to be anything that's bready or any type of grain. So think like piece of bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, muffins, granola, oatmeal, those types of things. So you want to make sure that you're having each of those things at your meal every time that you're eating. And you need to balance your plate, so the amount of those things are going to determine or be determined by your activity level. So if you're not sure about this, I do actually have a podcast episode for you, and I will link that below. But you want to make sure that every time that you're eating, you are getting in all those components. So this would count for meals and for snacks as well. So last and not least is emotional regulation. If you feel like you're binge eating not just because you are physically hungry, but because of emotional reasons, and of course that is always going to be tied up in this, like you just can't control your emotions, you're sad, you're angry, whatever, you wind up binge eating, then we need to regulate those emotions. So the first thing that you can do is prayer. So just ask God to help me to regulate my emotions, help me to lean on you so that I am not feeling like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders, because you don't, you're not in control of everything. So ask God to help you with that and help you to, just not let your emotions take control of you. Number 2 is to journal. So journaling is a great way to get your feelings out, especially if you don't want to talk to somebody about it because you feel embarrassed or you're shameful or whatever. You can just write everything out, and that's a great way to just get all those emotions out. Number 3 is meditation, where you're focusing on your breathing, and that helps you to just basically calm down. If you're in the moment, you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna binge eat on something, I can't stop myself, you can do what's called a butterfly hug. This is where you cross your arms over so each hand is touching a shoulder, and you are just tapping each shoulder, going one right after the other, and you are deep breathing, so you're focusing on your breath at the same time. And basically what you're doing is you're looking for your body to yawn so that you know that, okay, my body has calmed down. And this actually does work. So if you're in the moment and you feel like, I just can't get out of this, try a butterfly hug. Last up is work with a therapist. If you feel like you cannot work through this by yourself, there's no shame in contacting a therapist, especially somebody that works specifically with disordered eating, that can help you walk through this. So let's just kind of recap here of how you can work through binge eating. First and foremost is to make sure that you're eating enough throughout the day. Number 2 is eat when you're hungry, and so you're obeying your hunger signals. Number 3 is pay attention to your food when you do eat so that you are getting the satisfaction out of your food. Also, I didn't mention this, but I'm going to throw this in here anyways. It is important to remind yourself that no food is off limits, and it's okay to eat it. Don't feel guilty about eating anything, because once you do, guess what? You're going to wind up binge eating on that food. Number 4 is don't count certain foods as off limits. Number 5 is balance your plate. And number 6 is emotional regulation. So if this episode resonated with you, you feel like, okay, I just need help working through all of this, I really don't even know how to put together a balanced plate or a plan for myself, I'm completely lost, reach out to me and I will drop the link below of how you can schedule a consultation with me. But let's talk and let's figure out how we can work through this so that you are no longer struggling with this. You actually feel like you can regulate yourself around food and you can eat quote unquote normally again. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.